CNX Bible Study. My name is Philip, and this is...
My name is Grayson.
Grayson. Snyder, or Cinder, depending on if you're speaking from Siri in my phone or not.
Right.
Yeah. So tonight we are in Exodus chapter 17, and I am just going to see if my voice makes it through this particular video.
We'll see.
What might happen is halfway through it, I just give him the notes.
Oh, no.
And he reads, and we can do it that way. Yeah. And see how good he is. Yeah.
It'll
Johnny
be a real...
on the spot.
I've taken biblical interpretation. I've taken biblical interpretation. I haven't taken grammar. So,
yeah.
But I haven't.
Not even in school.
No.
Rowan, what is it? Rowan County schools? Yeah.
I haven't taken Philip interpretation.
Yeah. Philip interpretation.
Yeah, that's a different level.
Why do you say that?
You just got to see his notes. Just to see his notes, it's a different level of interpretation.
It doesn't even look like it's in order.
I mean,
it doesn't.
Yeah, that in itself is a challenge.
Yeah, like it's not. But I understand.
We take notes for ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. Not for anybody else.
Right.
Other than in this particular case where I might be passing it to you.
That's when it'll get fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be like, no. No, that's wrong.
Shake your head.
Actually, that would probably be a very entertaining Bible study.
It'll be, they would love to watch it.
Yeah, it'd be very entertaining.
I don't know if I would love to be here, but they would love to watch it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure that you're in Exodus 17 by now.
Yeah.
And a couple of things before we jump in. First of all, last week we talked about food, meat, and bread. Mm-hmm. And the week before that, when you were here, we talked about water.
Yes.
So in this testing section of Exodus, there is an A, B, A structure to the testing.
Yeah.
So the B would be the food, right? Mm-hmm. And the A's would be the water.
Yeah.
So that's that. In chapter 17, though, the people that put the chapters together in our Bibles today, which was not original, it was done later, they put an external threat and an internal threat.
Okay.
In the same chapter. And actually I did that backwards. It's internal and then an external threat all in chapter 17.
Okay.
The reason that they did that is because it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have noticed that. In fact, I haven't noticed that until just now in that. So some of this is going to be brand new that I just figured out in the last 2 days. So about that particular thing. So let's jump in. Verse 1 says, all the congregation of the people of Israel moved on from the wilderness of Sin, and that has nothing to do with sin.
Right.
As it's a location, and it's short for Sinai, really. By stages, according to the commandment of the Lord, encamped at Rephidim.
Great. Yep, sounds great.
But there was no water for the people to drink. A couple of things about this. First of all, they moved in stages. This means that one tribe would move, the rest would stay behind. Another tribe would move, the rest of them would stay behind. So on one day, you might have 3 tribes moving to the next location, and 9 tribes staying exactly where they are. But eventually they would vacate that particular place. So that's what it means in stages. Second thing about this is we know from Numbers chapter 33 that between Sin and Rephidim, there are 2 other locations where they camped on the way to Mount Sinai. After they left Sin, they went to Dovka.
Okay.
And then they went to Al-Ush.
Oh, okay.
Al-Ush. Yeah. So Dovka, Al-Ush, and then Rephidim.
Yep.
Yep. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yep. So we're in Rephidim now, and it says there's no water for the people to drink. This is not saying there isn't any water. Before, in the first A, there was no water to be found.
Yeah.
at all. There was some bitter water. Yeah, some bitter water. Yeah, of course. But there was no drinking water. Here, there is drinking water that they cannot get to or they cannot access. The reason for that is because they are now in the Amalekite area. Mm. And the Amalekites are controlling all the water supplies. Yeah. And so every time they go close to a water supply to get water, they're not able to because the Amalekites are attacking them. Yeah. So we need to keep that in mind. And you might ask, how in the world do you know that? Well, I think I can show you that a little bit later on, how that goes. But they actually have water. Water's around, but they can't get to it. Like, it's not accessible to them. There's a resistance to getting that water. Okay. Verse 2 says, therefore the people quarreled with Moses. That particular word quarrel is different than grumbling. Grumbling is loon. We've made a big deal about that the last 2 weeks. Quarreling comes from a word that means to hold a controversy. And it's quarreling with contention, and it denotes a legal proceeding. So there is something happening where they cannot get to this water, and they're blaming it on Moses because he hasn't been active in defending his people so that they can get the water, is the sense of the word here. So it's a different type of quarreling, of grumbling. Still, they're blaming him for it, and it's really not his fault, but at the same time, that's what that is. Right. The particular word reeb, which is this word for quarreling, is the root word of meribeth, which is where they're at, which means quarreling or contention. And they say, give us water to drink. We cannot get the water, so you need to make this happen for us. And so Moses warns them about their attitude. Yeah. So what he says is, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord? Why are you doing this? The problem that arises is the people are so thirsty, they don't listen to Moses and his warning because their desire to have something to drink overpowers their morality. Mm. Their desire to have something to drink drowns out any other voice that is speaking to them, even of caution and warning that you really shouldn't be grumbling about this. You shouldn't be quarreling about this. You should be praying and seeking God about this. Yeah. Verse 3 comes right back to our word for grumbling. But the people thirsted there for water. And the people grumbled against Moses and said, why did you bring us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? So here's that word loon again, which we get our word loony from. And they are saying, why did you bring us here to kill us? It is the same thing that they have said the last 2 times. Yeah. It's also the same thing that they said before they crossed the Red Sea. So this is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy at this point. They have seen all the plagues in Egypt. They have been able to escape bondage of slavery. They have crossed a sea with water on both sides of them. Mm-hmm. They have manna following 6 days out of the week that they get and they bring, which is a miraculous achievement. Yeah. Not even 2 weeks ago, God provided water for them, right? Not even a week ago, not even a week ago, this manna started coming, and I explained that. So there's a lot of things to show that God is with them and God is providing, and they're just not getting it. I think the reason that they're not getting it is because they wish to walk by faith. They wish to walk by sight and not by faith. Yeah. So if they don't see it, they're not having faith in it. They want to see it. This approach to the Christian life is very dangerous. Walking by sight and not by faith. If you're walking by sight, you are always going to be overcome with the trials that come in your life. You are always going to be overwhelmed by the suffering that comes into your life. you're always going to be grumbling because of the tough times in your life. Your mood, your emotions, everything will stem around what you can see rather than what you can't see. And faith says it's the substance of things not seen that we put our hope in. And that helps us that gives us the strength for when tough times come, that they don't overwhelm us emotionally.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm struggling with my voice. You're about to get the notes.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So basically, if your faith is in things that you don't see, you're never overwhelmed with things in this life that you can see.
Right.
So thoughts on that?
I think that's a good point, because there's a lot of times that God works, and just things that we don't recognize.
Yeah.
Like our travels to work, our travels to home. Like God's orchestrating things in that to keep us safe.
Right.
And we don't often see any of that. We don't recognize it, the way that he's working. And so I think that's a good point, that when you walk by sight, I think your focus is then on yourself.
Right.
It's on yourself. It's on the material. You start getting prideful. And then when it's in faith, then you recognize that it's not you that gets yourself to work safely. It's not you that, pays the bills. It's God who's working behind the scenes.
Yeah. So verse 4 says, so Moses cried to the Lord. That is the number one reason that we know that the people were walking by sight and not by faith. And Moses was walking by faith, not by sight. It's who you turn to.
Mm-hmm.
So the people there, that you is actually singular, and they are laying it at Moses' feet, that he's responsible for them not being able to have water.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can see him, right? But Moses turns to God and he cries out to him because his faith is in God and things he can't see, and he knows God is going to provide. It's the difference between living in this world, and this world is all you have, or living in this world knowing that there's more.
Mm-hmm.
There's more going on. So it says, pass on before the people, taking you some of the elders of Israel. Take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on a rock at Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people will drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders and of Israel. A couple of things here. First of all, they wanted to go back to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
God tells Moses to move forward toward Mount Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
So he is going toward Horeb rather than back to Egypt.
Yeah.
Because there are no solutions in Egypt that will help them with this problem that they have.
Yeah.
Their problem isn't water.
Mm-hmm.
Their problem is faith in God. That's their problem.
Yeah.
And if they go back to their previous life, there is no way that they will grow out, or they will grow in their faith. There's no way that they will do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not really their problem. So there's no solutions in Egypt. The only solutions are forward. I think in life we need to see every situation that way. Our solutions are not in our past. A lot of people want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to look to the past for solutions, or they want to look at what other people are doing,
mm-hmm.
that they've done in the past to solve this.
Yeah.
For us, our solutions are always in the future, not in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that, we look to things in the past and what other people have done because it gives us a sense of comfort.
Yeah.
We realize that it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not exactly ready to take that risk yet. But there's sometimes that God's asking you, hey, you gotta move forward one step, even if you don't see the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta keep walking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So he strikes this rock, and it is a supernatural provision of water. I don't know if you know anything about rocks, but you can hit them with a stick and no water comes out. So this is definitely a miraculous work of the Lord. There are people actually commentators that say this was natural. He hit it with the stick and the rock cracked. No. No. This is a boulder that he is hitting, and water comes out of it. And it's not that he edged it to the side or created a hole. This is actually a supernatural supply of water. Turning your Bibles to Psalm chapter 78. Psalm 78. You're already there?
I am.
Good for you. Sorry, I'm in Psalms, but I can't count, it seems. And I would like you to read verses 15 and 16 of Psalms chapter 78.
Okay. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink abundantly as from the deep. He made streams come out of the rock and caused waters to flow down like rivers.
So this backs up that this is very miraculous.
Yeah.
A miraculous event. It's a little more detailed, but it's talking about God and God's supply of water. This particular rock, however, represents something. So turn your Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, and I want you to read that too. If you get there before me, that's fine. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4.
First Corinthians 10:4, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that followed them, and the rock was Christ.
Yeah. Isn't it Christ in Scripture that says, I am the living water?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there talking to the woman at the well, saying, if you drink from me. Well, it's the same type of analogy. This is a type in the Old Testament of Jesus Christ in the New.
Yep.
So I think that's neat. I'm not going to say much more about that. You should study that on your own. But it's rich in detail, definitely. Verse 7, and he called the name of the place Massa and Meribah, because of the quarreling of the people of Israel, and because they tested the Lord by saying, is the Lord among us or not? What you may or may not pick up on from this particular verse is Massa is actually the word for testing. The root is for testing. And Meribah has the root of quarreling.
Yeah.
So on the outside, you have Massa, tested, and on the inside, you have quarreling.
Yep.
On the inside. So it's almost like an ABA microcosm right there in that particular verse,
right,
if you will. I think that's interesting. I do think it's interesting that they ask, is the Lord among us or not? Like, why would you ask that question?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Why I would ask that question?
Yeah, why would you ask that question?
I mean, personally, if I felt like, well, I mean, if I didn't believe he was truly there, like, you know, they can say they have faith all they want to, but if you are truly lacking that faith, I think that's when that question starts to come up. Or you're, you know, in a really dark time, you don't have any sense of hope.
Or you forgot everything that he's done for you.
Yeah.
I think we ask that question when we forget everything that God has done for us.
Yeah.
And we miss the signs that he's been with us all along the way, and he's with us right now. This is another demonstration that their faith has not grown. So they're not any closer to God than they were when they left Egypt.
Yep.
And this is a very dangerous place to be when you are not learning from each trial and test. The sight thing made it all about them, all about what they could see. It was all about what they had and what they didn't have, when really they had everything they needed in God. So when you continue down this road of not growing in faith, what happens is your heart begins to harden against spiritual things because you're just looking at physical things.
Yep.
And to kind of show you that, turning your Bibles to Psalm chapter 95. And you're going to read this one too. Okay. Psalm chapter 95. And read verses 8 and 9.
Verse 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Do not harden your hearts, as at Meribah, as on the day at Massa in the wilderness, when your fathers put me to the test and put me to the proof, though they had seen my work.
So what God is saying here is this is where the people, because they didn't learn from the other tests and trials that they had, the one at the Red Sea, the first water, and the food, and they did the exact same thing, and they just didn't progress in their faith. This is where their hearts were actually hardened.
Yeah.
And what happens in the future is you're going to have instances where Moses is gone for 40 days and they're going to decide to do something wrong because they're living by sight. They want a golden calf. Or they're going to go into, they have the opportunity to go into the promised land, but because it's all about sight, they take the giants, the toughness of the cities into account and decide not to go because they're living by sight. Yep. This is a warning for us that you and I should make sure that we are living not by sight, but by faith.
Yeah.
And that we are growing through every trial that we go through, because he's trying to prepare us for something bigger and something greater.
Yeah.
So, not spiritually developing is really a dangerous thing.
Yeah. And that last part of Psalm 95:10, verse 9, though they had seen my work, that's convicting.
Yeah.
Because we see his work every day.
Yeah.
If you look at the earth, you see his work.
Yeah. Well, one thing in our church is this year we've had an abundance of baptisms.
Yeah.
And we've also had some challenges here at the church too. Well, what do you look at?
Yeah, do you look at the material or do you turn to God?
Yeah, do you make the challenge the thing, or are you like, well, he's working,
yeah,
and he's done all this stuff, so this challenge isn't too big for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every baptism shows an amazing transformational power of God in that person's life that's accepted him. That's unmatched.
Yeah.
So the little challenge that you have doesn't even come close to the work that was done there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that ends the internal.
Time for the external.
Time for the external. Yeah. Verse 8. Why don't you read that for us?
Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim.
Interesting thing about Amalek is he's a descendant of Esau's eldest son. So this is Esau's son giving Jacob's son some problems, which is part of the reason the Middle East is the way that it is.
Yep.
Verse 9, read that.
So Moses said to Joshua, choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand.
Yeah. So a couple of things here. At first, it's really odd that they are going to battle with Amalek, right? But the phrase, then Amalek came out and fought with Israel at Rephidim, what we learn from other passages of Scripture, like Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 18, is that they had been attacking Israel before this moment. And what they had done was anybody that was straggling behind as they moved, like were weary, couldn't make it, maybe older people, whatever it might be, they would attack those people in that particular situation. And so they had been, the Amalekites had been attacking the Israelites for several times before this particular moment. So Moses obviously prayed to God, and God told him that he needed to do this. And so he's sending Joshua out, and Moses is going to go up with a stick. Interesting thing, Joshua, who is a key player from this point on, is just mentioned here for the very first time. There's no description of who he is, nothing at all. He just shows up on the scene, which is very interesting. He's going to stand on top of this hill and hold a staff out and we're going to see what happens. So verse 10.
So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill.
Keep going.
Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, and whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed.
So that particular word, whenever, means this happened several times to establish that is indeed what was happening. Moses would hold up his hand, the battle would go great, he would lower it, Israel would start to lose. So it was back and forth, back and forth. And so Moses would lower his hands, because if you hold something up like this, you're going to get tired. It doesn't matter if it's light or whatever, you're just going to get tired. So he began to get tired, and that leads us to verse 12.
But Moses' hands grew weary, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun.
Yeah, so they made it work, didn't they?
Yeah.
They brought a stone for him to sit on. It seems to be one hand that he has to raise, because it's not hands. Well, I guess hands.
Yeah.
I guess it is both.
Aaron and Hur held up his hands.
So scratch that. Scratch that. So they're holding up his hands just to make sure that they get the victory. In verse 13.
And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword.
Yeah, overwhelmed. It's interesting here that verse 13, overwhelmed his people with the sword. You would think that that's a victory.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that a victory was won. It means that there were heavy casualties on the Amalek side.
Amalek side, yep.
Yeah, so they didn't win like a victory, but they definitely lots more casualties than the army thought that they would have, and was inflicted by
not a victory in that the fighting would just cease altogether, but a victory in the sense of we've
reduced their army and they're not going to bother us for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So verse 14.
Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven."
That particular word, blot, represents a word of a process that they used when they wrote on parchment back then, to get rid of stuff that may have been wrong, or get rid of words on that skin that they had. And it's not an actual blot. They would take a wet cloth or something and they would wipe until the ink or whatever they used was gone. And it was kind of erased. So it's kind of like washing a whiteboard. Probably a little more to it, than that. Wasn't as easy, but that's what they were doing. So blot out, wipe out is what is meant there. So it continues in verse 15. Goes 15 to 16.
And Moses built an altar and called the name of it, "The Lord is my banner," saying, "A hand upon the throne of the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation."
Yeah, so the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. What we know is over time, the Amalekites' population was reduced and reduced and reduced, all the way up to Esther's day. And Haman, who went against the Jews and did all that, well, when it reversed, it got rid of the rest of the Amalekites. Yeah, so from that point on, they're totally blotted out of history. Yeah, that particular leg or branch of Esau, totally gone, wiped off the face of the planet. That's what that is. Yeah. The altar of the Lord is my banner. This reminds me of Abraham. It's Jehovah Jireh. The Lord will provide. But this is Jehovah Nasi. And it's the Lord is my banner, and it refers to a military custom of using a pole with a flag to rally the troops.
Okay.
We see that in our culture even today. There is a American statue from World War II where you have soldiers bringing the flag Also, 9/11 has that same sort of imagery, has the flag with the parts of the two towers that have been destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a rallying cry. You see that flag, you see a rallying cry. I think we underestimate the power of a flag in our culture.
Yeah.
I will say this, and this isn't a political thing. This is just, come on, really, people thing. If you are protesting in our country and you're waving another flag, I don't even want to see it.
Yeah.
Like if you're waving the Mexico flag or you're waving some other country's flag, just go live in that country. But if you're protesting in this country and you want America to change because you love this country, then wave the American flag.
Yeah.
It is a rallying point.
Yeah.
And just like it's a rallying point, it's also a rejection point. Like if you do not wave my country's flag when you're doing something, I'm going to totally reject you immediately and anything you have to say, because I feel like you should just go live in that country that you are showing allegiance to.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's showing I care more about what I'm waving than where I'm at.
And you could say this just shows my nationality. Well, you're right. It does. Go back to your home. If you really want your nationality to be American, when you protest, wave the American flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not sending the signal that you think you're sending. Like we've seen the Palestinian flag waved in some protest. We'll just go live there.
Yeah.
You have the freedom to get on an airplane and go over there.
You might not enjoy it once
You might not
there.
enjoy it, but you've got it. You've got that opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you're going to protest, let's use the right flag.
Yeah.
So here it's Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner. And this is the Christian's rallying point, is the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So he is my banner. He is my strength. He is who we rally around in order to do things for his kingdom. Yeah. It's extremely important. It's a rallying point. Yeah. All right. So, a couple of questions.
Oh, question time.
You ready?
Yeah.
We're going to end with question time. Question time with Grayson.
This is interesting.
You ready? The word Raib,
Raib.
which Mirabith comes from,
Yeah.
refers to a legal dispute.
Yeah.
They were not just complaining, they were accusing.
Yeah.
Okay? What does that reveal about their heart posture toward Moses and towards God?
I think that. I think it points to a lack of. They feel like they weren't acting, like they felt like that Moses and God were being lazy towards them. I think, because I think accusation. I think that they do at some point realize that there is a power working.
Yeah.
Because they're accusing Moses, and so I think that they just were accusing him like, you have the power to do something about this, you're just not acting. Get off your butt, basically.
Yeah. One thing that I think it reveals about their heart is that they're prideful and they feel like that they can command Moses to do what they want him to do.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't do what they want him to do, he's not a good leader. Well, that is not what a leader is. You're the leader if you're telling the leader what to do.
Yeah.
If you're telling God what to do, you're the leader. That comes from, I should be listened to and you should do what I say, you're my slave. Well, Moses wasn't there to be their slave.
Right.
He was there to be their leader. And God is definitely not their slave. They're supposed to be following him. So their heart condition was just wrong. But that's a result of walking by sight rather than faith.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So here's another one. You
Okay.
ready?
Question 2.
Question 2. Why do you think thirst made the people ignore Moses' warning about their rebellious attitude?
I think it's an essential thing of life.
Yeah.
So I think a survival instinct kind of kicks in for them.
Kits in for them.
You start worrying about your family surviving, and I think it's going to make people upset.
And you get very emotionally
agitated,
charged.
and you start fighting at that
Yeah,
point.
and you're already kind of weak because you don't have the water.
Mm-hmm.
So you're fighting for life, yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you see physical or emotional needs distorting spiritual perspectives today?
Repeat.
Okay, ready? Where do you see physical or emotional needs distorting spiritual perspectives today?
I think there's a wave of uncomfortability wanting to be comfortable in the physical sense. I think that a lot of mental things, emotional things, is running rampant in like people, I would say more my age, younger people. And so that makes them a little uncomfortable. And so instead of dealing with the root of the problem, which I would say is their sin, they would say that, well, I just need someone to tell me what to do. I need a medication. I need a surgery to fix
whatever it is.
To fix my uncomfortability.
Yeah. Yeah. And the distortion of the spiritual perspective would be we don't see God.
Right. We don't see that we're beautifully made. We don't see Him as our answer.
We don't see it as an opportunity to grow in our faith and trust Him and learn how to trust Him more.
Look to spiritual instead.
And we miss blessings as a result of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. God tells Moses, here's the next one, right? God tells Moses to take the elders and move forward, not back to Egypt.
Yep.
Okay. So what old Egyptian solutions do people tend to run back to when stressed? What old Egyptian solutions do people tend to run back to when stressed?
I think that we tend to look back to, this is a couple Sundays ago, but we start looking back to our old graveyard way of life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And we start reminiscing about the good times that was, even though without Christ it wasn't really good times. We didn't necessarily see it that way.
We romanticize it.
Yeah, we romanticize it. And so we look back and, I think that causes us to fall back into like certain addictions like drinking and drugs and all of that. And so I think that...
Toxic relationships.
Yeah, toxic relationships.
Yeah, that we had gotten rid of, but now we're going back to.
In the moment when you were dealing with it, you knew that it wasn't good for you.
Yeah.
But then you move forward and you're like, oh, maybe I do want that back.
It is amazing to me how people go back to a toxic relationship because of the security.
Yeah.
Toxic relationship security.
Yeah.
And it's such a twisted view of security. It's really, really bad. It's also self-reliant probably as well. Yeah, that's good. How do you recognize backward movement in your spiritual life?
I think there's certain disciplines that we start lacking when we move backwards.
Okay.
I think
so you start looking for those spiritual disciplines that are lacking?
Yeah, I would say that like you start noticing your prayer time is taking a back seat, or your studying of God's word, you're wanting to spend time with Him. I would say that starts taking a back seat, and that's whenever you can start to realize maybe I am turning back. In a way. Yeah. I think people is also a big point to that. People in your life, maybe they can tell you, hey, we need to move forward. We need to stop looking back to the past, sort of thing.
That's good. All right, here's another one. God tells Moses He will blot out Amalek slowly across generations.
Yep.
Why does God work judgment slowly sometimes instead of instantly? Isn't that a good question?
Yeah. I think it has to do with a He wants you to grow in your faith, like we're saying.
Yeah.
And so if that problem keeps popping up, it's are you going to turn back to your way of life? Turn back to complaining, accusing Moses sort of thing? Or are you finally going to grow?
So this is also, and that's right, but also this is generations. So there's generations of people that are dying.
Yeah.
that never see this happen. So probably the reason sometimes God does judgment over generational years is because of grace.
Yeah.
And he gives those people enough time to repent and turn back to him.
Yeah.
Which is another side of what we're talking about, I think.
Yeah, you start thinking about like abomination, blotting people out.
Yeah.
And you start looking at the wrathful side of God, and then you get to the generations part. You're like, okay, there's a little bit of grace there.
Yeah. He's
giving him opportunity. Yeah.
When Haman did his thing, it was just the last straw.
Yeah.
We're done. We're done here.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's this isn't the last question. All right. Moses builds an altar.
Okay, yeah.
The Lord is my banner,
Yeah.
Jehovah Nissi, right? What does it mean for God to be your rallying point in life?
Your rallying point in life. That is a good question.
So I'll give you time to think about it.
Yeah.
People normally rally around achievement, reputation, politics, comfort, people's approval. What changes about you when the Lord becomes the rallying point instead of those things?
I think you start walking by faith instead of sight, sort of thing.
Okay.
Like we were talking about, you stop accusing the people that are over you.
Sure.
To get off their butts and everything.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. If people would spend more time praying than complaining, their spiritual walk would be a lot closer to God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would stop turning to the material, start looking for the spiritual.
Yeah.
I think that's what it means.
Yeah, and in what you just said, when you rally around the Lord, you're spiritual. You see the spiritual, and you feel better about the physical, regardless of what's happening. Yeah.
And I think there's a vocal aspect to it too. Just like there's a lot of vocal people about politics and about achievements. I think there's a vocal aspect to that.
A lot of energy around politics, right?
Yeah.
A lot of energy about your reputation. You're trying to keep it up. You're trying to be branded a certain way. A lot of energy going toward achievement. Well, what if you took all that energy and rallied around God instead?
Yeah.
And then your achievements and everything else would be greater and more substantial than if you rallied around this other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord is my banner. So something bad happens in my life, I rally around the Lord.
Yeah.
Something good happens in my life, I rally around the Lord. In fact, before something good happens in my life, I've already been rallying around the Lord, and He's given me that good thing. Okay. Before something bad happens in my life, I've been rallying around the Lord, and He gave me that bad thing so I would grow in my faith.
Right.
Yeah. And that's just a great truth to remember. The suffering to grow in your faith is an inconvenient truth.
Yeah.
But still, it's very beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions.
Oh, question time's over.
Question time with Grayson is over.
It's been fun.
Yeah, it has. All right. Well, next week we are in Exodus chapter 18.
Will you have one next week?
No. In 2 weeks. Thank you. In 2 weeks, if you're listening to the podcast, depending on when you listen to this, it's the very next one. But yeah, we will talk about Jethro. Jethro Bodine.
Okay.
Maybe not Bodine, but we'll talk about Jethro. All right, that said, grace and peace.